Today on I Have Today, I'm going to share some of the most profound lessons I've learned from Abraham Hicks that's going to change your life, so stay tuned. Hey there, it's Diane Forster, and welcome to I Have Today, the show that inspires, educates, and empowers you. And today I'm going to do a very special episode, and I want to share with you some of the key lessons I learned from Abraham Hicks. And if you don't know who Abraham Hicks is, get out from under the rock you've been living in. No, I'm kidding. No, if you have not heard of Abraham Hicks, let me tell you who they are. Abraham Hicks is the collective consciousness that is channeled through Esther Hicks. And Esther Hicks and her husband Jerry, who's deceased now, over 30 years ago, were on this journey, and there's stories in their books. You can read up about it. But anyway, Esther Hicks is this beautiful, amazing woman who was just kind of happy-go-lucky going through her life, married to a man who was very inquisitive and a seeker of information. He wanted knowledge. He wanted to know, the answers to the big questions. And one thing led them to another. They were led to a psychic medium in Arizona, led them to the Seth books, and led them to a path of starting to meditate. And during that meditation process, about 9 months in, Esther things started to change for her. She started to notice things happening to her. She started to notice that her head was moving and she was writing letters with her nose. And it evolved from there to the point where eventually Abraham came through her and was communicating, and she was channeling Abraham and receiving information, and she was verbally communicating it. And so the name Abraham they picked was because it means teacher. And so they started out on this quest and started, seeing people for readings privately, and then it moved into, workshops. And, all these years later, amazing Esther Hicks is still so devoted to this work, and she travels all over the world teaching these workshops, offering this information to the world. She does cruises and land cruises for people and answers their questions. She allows Abraham to channel through her, and we all get to ask her questions. So I had come across Esther and Jerry Hicks, I want to say maybe back in 2011 or 12, in my journey through when I started my spiritual awakening and started really delving into my own work. And it didn't really resonate with me. I don't know why, it just didn't. But what I want to share is when it all did shift for me. I'll never forget this moment. It was in August of 2015. I was working at ABC at the time, and one of my coworkers called me over to her desk, and she said, "You need to watch this." And what it was Esther channeling Abraham at a workshop, and she was channeling a message to this young man, and she went on what she calls these rampages. She calls them rampages, and where she's just flowing with the information. She's totally channeling the message and delivering it. And she went on this rampage of love that I sat there and I listened to, and it completely shifted me. I could literally feel my heart break open, wide open. It got so warm and big, and I could feel this visceral shift in my entire body, head to toe. And I thought, wow, never have I felt anything that penetrated me the way that rampage did. And from that day on, I was hooked. I could not get enough. I was watching video after video after video. I bought the book, Asking It Is Given. This book is one of my top 5 favorite books in the world. That tells you how powerful this book shifted my life. We're going to talk about this in a minute. But anyway, that's what started happening for me. So I really started to immerse myself in Abraham Hicks, and I started many of the processes. There's actually 22 processes in the back of this book, and I've done most of these processes. And so once I discovered Abraham Hicks, manifestation got, for me, dialed way up, where things started manifesting so fast. I started receiving information and so many things started happening. I have many stories about manifestation. In my blog, I've written about them. I'm currently writing a book called My Year of Radical Changes, and I'm sharing manifestations stories in there too, because things are coming in so fast. And I get asked a lot, how are you doing this? How are you able to manifest so much so fast and so quickly, and you barely speak about something and it shows up in your life? Well, a huge contributor to my manifestation journey is Abraham Hicks. So I thought today I'm going to share with you some of the top strategies and lessons I've learned from Abraham Hicks that have had a profound impact on my life. Okay, are you guys excited? Because you're going to start manifesting a whole lot faster too when I share this information with you. Okay, here we go. This is the biggest one. It's so funny because when you listen to the workshops or watch the workshops, people all come up to what they call the hot seat, where they get to ask Abraham any question. And they say, well, I have so many questions that I want to ask you. And Abraham's response is always the same. There's only one answer. There's only one answer. And the answer is, your goal is to be happy. Number one, most important thing in life is for you to feel good. Get happy. No matter what it takes, get happy. You don't need to worry about things. You need to divert your attention away from it. When you're in the happy feeling place, that is like this ripple effect for other things to start flowing into you. You're actually wide open. And so feeling good is the key. Being happy is the key. And so it's so interesting because I had a conversation with a friend just the other night who was saying to me, it's not possible to be happy all the time. It's not possible to be happy every day. And I said, it is possible to be happy every day. It may not be possible to be happy all day, every day, but being happy every day, finding moments to be happy, no matter what the situation is possible. And so we'll get into the emotions. I'll share that. There's a list of emotions here that you need to know about, how to move up the emotional scale to help with that. But the work really is to be as happy as you can be, as often as you can be, as much as you can be, no matter what the circumstances are. And many of the rampages that Abraham does is to get you from whatever state you're in into that happy state. You know how to do it and how to change your language along the way in doing it. And many of the mantra meditations that I do, and whether it's the ones that I put out to the public or the personalized ones that I create for my client, are all in a sense taking you through that emotional scale and getting you from a negative emotional state to a positive emotional state, so that by the time you're done listening to one of my mantra meditations, you're feeling happy, you're feeling excited, you're feeling on the positive side of the scale. So the work is, do whatever you can do to be happy. It really is. What can I do to be happy? Sometimes she says, write in your journal that day, I am happy, 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 I am happy. Just get to the state of being happy. Number 2, whatever you focus on gets bigger. Whatever you're putting your attention on is going to get bigger. You are worried about the little bit of money in your bank account. The worry, the stress of that, it's going to make the problem bigger. You are worried about your health. You keep focusing on that, the problem is going to get bigger. Whatever you focus on gets bigger. So you need to do whatever you need to do to focus your attention away from the thing that is stressing you out or causing you to feel bad, and just move your attention to anything that makes you feel better. And so let's just use debt for an example. You know, if you've got a lot of bills to pay, you know, she talks about making a game out of it. Couple of fun things to do. One thing would be, you know, whatever your money situation is, you know, write all your bills down on a sheet of paper and across the top of the page, you know, write the amount of them underneath them. And, you know, the one at the end, which isn't that big normally, which, is the lowest amount, play a game with you that I'm going to do my best. I'm going to set the best intention to pay that one double. And I'm doing really well. And, I can manage my money really well and have fun with it. And so shift the energy from a negative, like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed by all this debt or all my, financial responsibilities to, I'm going to have fun with this and I'm going to make a game of it. And it will shift the energy of it. So you can't be focusing on the negative piece of it, because whatever you focus on will get bigger. All right, number 3 is you can't ask and worry at the same time. I share this a lot. Once you ask the universe for something, they got your order. It's in, it's done. You don't have to keep asking for it over and over and over again. What you're saying to the universe is, yeah, I'm praying for this, but I'm worried that it's not going to come. I don't have faith. I don't have trust. I'm full of fear and doubt. And so think of it this way, you plant, this is their analogy, you plant the corn and you don't go out the next day and expect the stalk of corn to be there. There's a maturation period. And another thing that Abraham says is you got to be, you're getting ready to get ready. If you were ready for the thing that you want, you would have it. You really would have it. So if you're asking for something and it's not coming to you, you might ask yourself, well, what am I doing that might be preventing this thing from flowing to me? Where am I not ready in my life? Because the thing is done. Whatever it is you ask for, the moment you ask for it, vibrationally it's done. It's already created. We live in a universe full of energy. So it's already created. By the time the thought comes into your mind, it's already created on a vibrational, energetic level. So now you have to get ready for it. So you can't be asking for something and then doubting it at the same time. You got to know, well, I must not be ready for it. Ladies out there, if you're looking for a man, or guys out there, if you're looking for a woman and you're not in a relationship, you're not ready. There's something you're doing that's telling the universe you're not ready. There's something that's keeping it away. So think about, what am I possibly doing to do that? To block that from coming into my life. And what could I possibly be doing different or feeling differently to bring that into my life? Could it be getting happier? Could it be focusing on what that life looks like? Could it be that I already asked for it and maybe I'm still creating him or her? What is it? Stay in the flow of positivity. Which leads right into the 4th thing. And Abraham says, you got to let go of the oars. So you're in a canoe and you're trying to go upstream in the river, right? And you're using the oars, right? That is the analogy of struggling with something upstream, right? It's not easy. Could you eventually get there? Yeah, or maybe not. But it sure is a struggle, right? And what they say is you got to let go of the oars, because the canoe will correct itself and it'll start going downstream, because everything you want is downstream. It's downstream. It's not supposed to be a struggle. It's not supposed to be hard. So when you're fighting against something, like I use the example of if I'm struggling with something, I know I need to walk away from it. So I go to the beach breathe in the fresh air, and I look at the waves, and I look at the sky, and I look at the people, and I take in all the beautiful nature. I watch the birds fly, and all of a sudden I'm downstream. So whenever I go back to whatever I'm doing, it's a whole lot easier. The problems literally dissolve. They go away. So number 4 is you got to let go of the oars, because everything that you want is downstream. Okay, number 5 is that you manifest through emotion. So you need to understand the emotional scale. So I'm going to pick up the book. So we're going to have a link for you to buy this book. If you don't own this book, please buy this book. In fact, buy this book and buy 5 other copies and give them out, because that's what I do. When I have a book that I love, I buy it and I pass them out to my friends, because I got so much value out of it. And I'm a big believer in passing it on. So this is my copy of the book. And look, I want to show you like this book. I have like so many highlights. I read this book once a year. I go back and do a refresher of it. It's so incredibly powerful. Okay, so the different degrees of your emotional guidance scale. So they say in here, your emotions are indicators of your vibrational frequency. When you remember that your emotions indicate your degree of alignment with source energy, and that the better you feel, the more you are allowing your alignment with the things you desire, then it is easier to understand how to respond to your emotions. So what they say is you can't go from like stark raving, angry, lunatic, mad to happy. You just can't do it. So there is a scale here, and the scale starts with joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, appreciation. That is the top of the scale. At the bottom of the scale is fear, grief, depression, despair, powerlessness. So then in there is the emotions that get you up to go up the emotional scale. So say you have worry in your mind, right? And you're worried about something. Doubt would be the next emotion up. Even though that sounds negative, doubt is actually a slight grade up the scale than worry is. And then disappointment, then overwhelm, then frustration, irritation, impatience. That is actually sounds more negative, and it's not. It's actually more empowering emotions that go up the scale. And then it moves up to things like boredom, contentment, hopefulness, optimism. So the more you go up the emotional scale, the more in alignment you are and able to receive the things that you want and desire. And so now let me just go dig into alignment a little bit more. Alignment is another way of saying you got to be connected to source. So if you want to be in that receptive mode, is what she calls it, you've got to be what I call quote unquote plugged in. So they'll say, you can't don't go out in your day and don't start vacuuming the carpet if the plug's not plugged into the electrical outlet. It's like you're wasting your energy. Or don't try and toast the toast in the toaster if the toaster's not plugged in. So it's important to connect yourself and get in alignment with higher consciousness, with your intuition, with the guidance that you're getting all the time. Those thoughts that come in, that instinct, your intuition, you get that hit like, oh, I should really call that person, or I should really go over here today, or I should really do that thing today. That's all your inner guidance that's guiding you to the things that you want in the most direct path. So it's important to understand the emotional scale and understand how to move yourself up the emotional scale so that you can stay in alignment, so that you're given the guidance to follow you on your path of least resistance to the things that you want. How awesome is that? So those are just 5 of the powerful lessons that I've learned from Abraham. I use this material in my life every day with different things. I do segment intending, I do meditation, I write in the book of aspects, many, many other things. And it has changed my life, people, so much, so dramatically, continues to do it in a more positive, profound way. So I thought, as my gift to you today, if you are interested, I would love to give you a complimentary session with me to see where you are in your life, where you're stuck, and how I might be able to support you on your path to least resistance so that you can start manifesting the things that you want in your life a whole lot faster and easier, okay? We're going to have links for you to register for a complimentary session. Let's have a conversation. Let me help you and support you on your journey. It would be my honor and privilege. And I want to thank you so much for being here today. Now, remember what I said, all right? So number 1 was the only goal is to be happy. Number 2 is whatever you focus on gets bigger. Number 3 is you can't ask and doubt at the same time. Number 4, let go of the oars and let your boat go downstream, because everything that you want is downstream. And number 5 is you manifest through emotion, so you must understand the emotional scale. All right. Please rate, subscribe, review. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the bell so you get notified of new episodes. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, subscribe, rate, and review for me. It would mean the world. And I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.